Assalamu alaikum everyone. Before you say yes to marriage, most Muslims enter the talk stage with hope, but without clarity, and that's why so many end up divorced, end up confused, end up heartbroken. And in this episode of Love Lens, I'm sharing 7 of the most important questions that every Muslim should ask before they get married. These questions can save you from wasting time, to protect you from heartbreak, to protect you from confusion. I've got here Mr. Mohammed. How you doing, Sahib?
Good man, good man.
How you doing?
Good.
Obviously, we're discussing my debut book. My book, Can I Ask You a Question? Which is the essential 150 essential questions to ask for a blessed and successful marriage. I'm Abdul Wahab, a relationship coach, a husband and a friend. We're here basically to discuss the books, to discuss questions that will help people. So firstly, I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Yes.
What do you do?
Yes.
As well?
Of course, yeah. So my name is Mohammed Mahmood.
Yeah.
I'm a journalist, writer, and recent playwright of Between Two Worlds. I have a lot of questions that I'm going to ask you about your book. Like really deep questions that I'm going to ask Abdul Wahab. Questions that maybe people haven't really asked him about. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting and wonderful discussion.
Well, so obviously the title says 7 must-ask questions before you obviously embark, before you get married. And alhamdulillah, as somebody who did use these questions to get married, I feel like it'd only be right if we went through the questions very quickly first. So I think the first most important question, in my opinion, is what's your understanding of marriage? And the reason is, Islamically, we know that when you get married for the sake of Allah.
Of course.
It's very easy to say you get married for the sake of Allah, but marriage in a sense is a form of ibadah, right? Mm-hmm. So in that manner, verily your actions are judged by their intentions.
Correct.
So if I intend to do something for the sake of Allah, I get that reward. Yes. But if I intend to do something for whatever worldly desires I want, whatever it may be, good or bad, I still get that reward as well. Mm-hmm. I think the second most important question is, for example, especially if I talk to somebody, is why do you think you're ready to get married? And these questions are all from the book, but I'll just speed through quickly. Another one is, are you aware of your rights as a spouse in Islam and the rights of your spouse? Have you struggled with your iman? Another one is, do you have a hidden future? Do you have a hidden health problems? Another one is, what is your personal opinion for my parent or your parent interfere with our personal life? Another question that would also, I think, is very, very, very important is, what relationship dynamic are you searching for? In this day and age, we do understand that in Islam, it is the husband that provides financially for the wife, that takes care of the household, that takes care of the shelter and sustenance and everything. However, we do see different dynamics that are being played about in today's 21st century, in today's day and age of cost of living crisis, and people having different relationship dynamics that would have been to the normal. So I think it's very important to know that what's the expectation and stuff like that. Other ways, for example, how do you show love and how would I know that you love me? Another one is, how do you deal with conflict and what are your conflict resolution and what's your communication style as well? And how are conflicts resolved in your family growing up? There's obviously these 7 questions, that 150 questions already. So let's just get into conversations about the book. Yeah. Conversations about marriage in general and just talking stages and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that enlightenment on your certain chapters of your book. But the first question that I want to ask before I have a sip of the...
By the way, carrot chai is amazing. My God, carrot chai is so good.
Amazing, I love it.
And it's so funny because I'm like, do I look at them? But I realize the conversation, so I should look at you.
Yeah. No, it's cool. So I want to start from the very beginning. And why do you feel that so many Muslims are stuck, especially in the talking stages of marriage?
I think the number one thing that I wrote this book for was because we didn't really have a guide. Mm-hmm. If we're honest, there's a lot of things that are to do with the etiquettes of being married, but there's so many things that we do outside of that can cause either benefit or causalities or consequences because of those things.
Yeah.
I'll give an example. Long talking stages. People thinking that the more you spend time with somebody, the more you get to know them. Those two are not. That's not like it's easy to think that the more you spend time with somebody, the more you know them. But if I spend time with you every day playing football with you, that doesn't mean that I've necessarily gotten to know you as a person.
Yeah.
I also feel like we don't really ask questions. So we don't understand why it is, what is happening really. We don't really have a structure. So we're not intentional with our time. We're not intentional with the sort of communications that we're having or intentional with the sort of relationship we're building. We just kind of get into things because of movies. I'll be very honest with you. I just used to watch K-dramas and whatever that actor did, I'm re-acting that. I'm doing that in real life. So yeah, I think we don't have structure. We don't have etiquettes when it comes to certain things.
Yeah, no, that's very valid. If someone had like 30 minutes to decide if a talking stage was worth continuing,
Yeah.
what 3 questions should they ask essentially?
That's amazing. I think the first one, what's your understanding of marriage? As I said previously before, I think it's very important how somebody sees the institution of marriage.
Yep.
A lot of people have grown up with very patriarchal households where, the mother did certain things and the father did certain things, or the father wasn't even in the picture. And so to some people, marriage is like, to some guys, marriage is like, you know what, I'm just going to marry this wife, this girl. I say that people want to have a wife than be a husband. So they want to have the luxuries of having a partner, but not the responsibilities of being a partner. So I think that's the reason why that is very important. Also, do you have an understanding Islamically of what marriage is? So do you understand what you're actually signing up for? And do you understand that you're signing up to one of the biggest contracts with Allah? I think it is the biggest contract of any contract that you can sign up for. I think more people do diligence when they're buying a house, or they're buying a car, or they're doing a deal for a certain job, than they do with getting a partner, for example. And the second question I would ask is, what's your understanding, what would you do if my parent or your parent interfere in our personal life? Look, the reality now is that, especially if we come from a very East African or Asian background, even Arab background, our parents play a very big, huge role in our lives. Now, if you have a very immature relationship with your parents and you have an enmeshment relationship with your parents, that could mean that your relationship is severely affected during your marriage. And that is the case with a lot of people. There is the case, especially within our community. There's a lot of studies being done that one of the cases of divorce, primary divorce, is because of parental interference, is because of the fact that people are either having let their parents interfere in their lives, or going to their parents about problems that they should be keeping within the household, or they should be going to a professional about. So I think that's the second one. I think the third one will always come down to money, right? A, how we manage money. A, who is in charge of paying this amount or that amount. And also I think it comes to not setting the other person up not to be financially abused. Whilst yes, as a Muslim husband, you should be paying for things, but you don't want to also be in a position where your wife has no money for herself, and she's overly reliant on you, not as means of like, oh, she should be working, but you should be sending her allowance. But some people will say, oh, cost of living crisis and stuff like that. But this is the responsibility of you as a husband, isn't it? Or even like, for example, like working, like your wife, her money is her money at the end of the day. But what some people, what they do is, the wife will be working and they say, yo, let me hold your card for you.
Yeah.
You don't need this.
Let me hold it for a few days.
So yeah, I think those are the 3 questions.
No, that's
so because they cover the majority of the reasons why people get divorced.
Yeah. No, I think with regards to like you mentioned something very important with regards to money, and I think with the cost of living and how the world is going through some sort of economic crisis, whether it's on a minor or major level in the West, there are a lot of women that are following passion and they're earning something from that passion, wherever it is. It could be a hijab business or an abaya business or makeup business or anything that they felt that, oh, you know, I was only dibble dabbing and just doing it for fun. They're now starting to think, okay, can I make some sort of income from this?
Yeah.
And I think we live in a world where no one is doing nothing. And if you are, then that's really bad, because then, you know,
You can't live off one.
one income. You can't. So
when we say we can't live off one camera, what I mean that you can't just be doing 9 to 5 and think it's okay. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. The reality nowadays is that one job, unless that job is a high paying job, which majority of people are not. Let's be very honest. The average UK salary is 40k. The average rent in the UK is like 1.5, 1.2 for one bedroom house. So
and you can't sustain. If you're using your 40k with your wife and a family.
Yeah, I remember somebody said to me that their dad used to work as a bus driver, and his salary alone was enough, and then he used to go on 2 to 3 holidays a year.
Yeah, me as well.
And I said, my Lord. And I saw a tweet that said 30k is now, about 20 years ago, is equivalent to 72k.
Now.
I
said, yeah, exactly.
I said, what the absolute hell? But I think we also have to be honest. Before, and I preface by saying that not everyone should be doing these type of jobs. And I preface also by saying that just because this is the reality doesn't mean that it's a good reality. Like, I don't think that somebody should be working 2 jobs just to sustain themselves. I don't think somebody should be working day and night just to pay for sustenance, just to pay for things that will keep them alive. I totally disagree with that. But at the end of the day, we are not going to cripple the very much society that you know feeds off of our inability to make votes, our inability to have a voice, our inability to have any sort of sustainable lifestyle, right? So this is the cards that we're dealt with, and this is the reality that we're living. And you just have to get up.
You just have to get up.
You just have to. And look, you know what? There's a lot of people who suddenly believe that, look, whilst your wife shouldn't pay for anything, and that's the barometer. That's everyone can agree that, you know, you shouldn't expect your wife to pay for things. Women are kind and amazing, and so a lot of them don't want you to suffer. And there's some guys who are out here who just think, oh yeah, all these girls, they just want me to suffer.
Yeah, they're just going to leech on me.
They're just going to leech on me.
Even though she's making money, probably more than me, she's not going to give nothing.
Yeah. And I think also, a lot of them are not gonna see you suffering and think, you know what, continue, do your thing, suffer. A lot of them are gonna help you. A lot of them are gonna support you. A lot of them are financially savvy. A lot of them are, and the difference between our parents and our generation is, especially Somali girls, for example. Let's be very honest. They do it as well as us, even better sometimes. Majority of the time as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I think that's one of the struggles. One of the struggles is going to somebody and telling them, I'm going to take care of you when you earn less than them.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a very big struggle, and that's the reality. But a lot of them are saying, yo, let's work together. Yes, I do expect you to take care of the majority of the household. And yes, a lot of people, before they get married, they have like, I'm never gonna, I expect to be taken care of. But when they're in that household, they're like, this takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
This takes a lot of partnership. This takes a lot of, and you don't have to live in London. If London is expensive, you don't have to live. Not everyone lives in London, for example.
True.
Right? You can live in Brum. You can go to other areas that are much cheaper. For example, household rent. I know somebody was telling me, London, this 1,300 bedroom, that's like a mansion somewhere else, or a bigger house somewhere else. There are a lot of people who live in different places.
But the salary will be much different.
The salary will be much different.
Yeah. No London living wage.
No London living wage as well.
So that's the
balance out. Yeah. But a lot of people are working international. Not international, but remote.
Remote, exactly.
Let's be very honest. But also another thing that people forget is Allah is Ar-Razaq. Like
Ar-Razaq,
Allah
yeah.
is the one who provides.
Yep.
Right? At the end of the day, if you're applying yourself in some format or some way, Allah will provide for you.
Yep.
And that's the thing that we forget.
That's true.
We look at humans and society and we think, oh my God, what's happening here and whatever. And we forget the person who's in charge of everything is Allah.
Yeah.
So I could be applying for 1,000 jobs. If I haven't made one dua for it, then I'm so sorry. Like, what am I expecting?
That's true.
So yeah, so I think those are, yeah.
No, that's very good. I was also going to say, like, this is a really interesting question. What do you think is most dangerous when someone is rushing into marriage or they are dragging themselves too long in the process before they make up their mind?
I'll say Russian. That is a very difficult question because obviously if someone's dragging their feet,
Yeah.
When you say dragging their feet, could you mean like they're in a relationship? Or do you mean like they don't even want to, like, they're not even entertaining the idea of marriage?
I think it's when they're taking too long, maybe they have like a few like options that they have. They're like, oh, this person has this type of personality, but then this person has this one.
Yeah.
And then you start ending up becoming like, oh,
A Build-A-Bear.
Yeah, you become numb. You're like, oh, what's gonna happen? And then that's when that's one aspect. Another aspect is you probably have someone that you want to talk to, but then you know everything is correct, but for some reason you're taking long with it.
Oh, I think those are two different things. I think let's describe the taking long part, dragging your feet. I think if you have somebody who's already there, who's already very compatible for you, who's already very good for you, and you decide that you are going to violate this person, subhanAllah, whatever barakah that you think you're going to get, please say goodbye to it, right? Because essentially, long talking stages are also one of the things that damage marriages.
Absolutely.
Right? Especially prolonged talking stages where it's not... The talking stage for me personally is the moment where you meet somebody, from that time you meet somebody where they're a completely stranger to you, until the time you get married. Not time you get married, until you decide you want to get married. After that, it's just wedding preparation or whatever. What are you doing towards somebody for 6 months and you're deciding whether you want to get married to them for 6 months? Like, what are you really doing? Like, let's be very honest. You're not really doing thorough CRB checks. Like, the actual proper CRB checks was that you'd go to their workplace, find out about them. You'd go to their local masjid, find out about them. You'd go to their neighbours and stuff and ask, how's this person? We don't do that. Let's be very honest. We basically send somebody their Instagram. What do you know about them? And then that person will find out maybe somebody that they used to speak to. Oh, yeah, they used to speak to somebody like that. We don't do the thorough background check.
Yeah.
And then you're not even asking the right questions, which means you don't really know about the person. So for me personally, I think dragging your feet is very dangerous. But if I had to choose one, rush into marriage.
Okay.
Rush into marriage. Because not knowing who you're going to marry, not knowing whether you're aligned with them, not knowing any personal things that will affect the marriage, not creating structure before the marriage, not taking time to learn about yourself and to learn how compatible. Compatibility is the achievement of marriage, is the achievement of love, right? You become more compatible with each other as you live with each other. But when I say compatibility, I mean in alignment, right? If I want to, for example, work very hard in life and I want to live in London, and I want to live in the heart of London where everything's so busy, where everything's quick and whatever, but the person I want to marry wants to go live in a farmyard and wants to live a very peaceful life and they want to live a very moderate life. But I want to be a millionaire and I want to make millions and millions and millions. It doesn't matter. We're not going to have alignment. One of us is going to have to compromise and suffer.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
But then another version of alignment is, let's say I want to perform hijrah. Like, I so desperately want to leave the country and I want to go live in another country. But the person that I'm talking to has an elderly parent that they have to look after. And none of us know about each other's situation. I think that's when it's very dangerous. And also, have you done your lessons in fiqh about marriage? Have you gone to premarital counseling? I think it's Indonesia or Malaysia is one of the countries. It's compulsory. You have to have a like the sheikh is not gonna do your nikah if you don't have a certificate. I think we need to start bringing that back.
Yeah, we need to
like
bring it back,
what the
yeah.
hell is a husband? What the hell is a wife? And
Yeah.
and start giving exam questions.
Yeah,
Honestly.
exactly. Yeah. No, definitely. So some people think that having a good deen is enough to get married. Do you agree with that statement? And if not, explain why. Oh yeah.
You know what? I think good deen is very important.
Of course.
I think there's 4 reasons why. I think the Prophet said there's 4 reasons why you get married. There's deen, there's character, there's looks, and there's lineage, right? And he said the one who it does well is the one who chooses deen,
Yep.
right? However, recently I've started seeing, and this is a very brand new phenomenon that for me, is that people like the look of deen, not the actual deen, right? People like the perception of having a wife that's a niqabi, but don't want anything to do with maybe facilitating somebody who, because if you're someone that's a niqab, you have to look after them very much. Only reason why I say that is because a niqab is a physical representation of Islam to the highest form, meaning that you might have to buy your wife a car. She has to have a form of transport that is very safe for her. You have to deal with that, right? You don't want to do that. You just want the niqab, right?
Okay.
Another person is like, you know what? Is he tall? Does he have a beard? Does he wear thobe? Does he wear khamis? And that's what they care about.
Whole image.
So they care about the performance of Islam, not the actual performance of the look of Islam, not the actual Islam.
Yep.
Another thing as well is I have seen people who are very knowledgeable get married and get divorced. And I think people are not realizing that just because you yourself are a practicing human being, which by the way, some people, whatever form of practice for you.
Yeah.
Because some people are like, I'm very practicing, and they're the most damn evil person ever.
Yeah.
They're out here refuting everyone, telling everyone you're a Catholic, whatever.
And some people view practicing as they pray 5 times a day.
Yeah. So it's very, it's very different.
Big
But
spectrum.
just because I read the Quran doesn't make me a better husband. And I think people need to start realizing that. And and this is not only when it comes to religion. I think this is when it comes to life skills as well. Like general, people are using HR skills, things they will put on our CV, to name themselves a good partner. Oh, I work at Google, therefore I'm a good husband. No, nigga, you're just an employee. You work at Google. That doesn't necessarily make you a good partner, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that you've healed or you've worked on your childhood trauma, that you understand what love is, that you understand how to take care of somebody, that you understand how to emotionally regulate yourself. And I think these are the things that people really need to understand. They need to stop looking at characteristics of a person and think, okay, this is who they are. Like, yes, that person may wear hijab and they're very much covered. Allahumma barak, that's amazing. Does that now translate them to being a good partner? Yes or no? It might, and it might not, right? Does it mean that they're going to listen to you? Does it mean that they're going to be a considerate person? Does it mean that they are a kind person? So I think we need to start looking at how people's deens manifest. If I'm wearing a khamis, but every time I walk past somebody who's not wearing a khamis, and I think I'm better than them, then where's my deen taking me?
Very good point.
So, and I think a lot of people are starting to fall into that, where they become overzealous and they start trying to overly correct other people. And so and some people use the religion just to manipulate. Let's be very honest. They're not worshiping Allah, they're worshiping their nafs. And they just learn a lot more to use a lot more as a manipulation tool.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's very important that someone has deen. I think somebody is someone as important as their character. I just think you need to really understand whether this person is just a loving human being. Because if they could be Quran Hafid, but if they see you crying and they just look at you and they just walk away, there's no point.
There's no point,
There's no point.
Yeah, honestly, there's no point.
And that's the part I always try to tell people, please, stop over-romanticizing the deen, okay? Stop oh my God, we're gonna pray tahajjud together. No, you don't even pray tahajjud by yourself.
And
Who are you
like,
talking about?
someone pray someone else. Yeah. Or go to the masajid or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, we're going to go to the masjid together. I can't wait for Eid Salah. Like, what the hell is going What the hell is going on here?
Crazy. Like sharing Instagram quotes on stories as well. Yeah. Yeah, I could talk a lot about that, but let's
Show your opinion then.
No, I think
Share your opinion, huh?
I think obviously, like you said, deen is very important. But I feel as though like there's a lot of facadeness that comes with it. What I mean is like it may appear like someone is very much into the deen from an outside lens, but then when you actually see the nitty gritty, and when it comes to what the actual, like when it comes to akhlaq, for example, manners, how you conduct yourself as a Muslim amongst non-Muslims, all these things is part of being a Muslim. But people are always now, they're moving on to, memorizing the Quran, which is great. I'm not saying that's obviously not, but
You should be doing it.
there's another layer to it. It's not just like do this and do that. No, there's a reason why. And people, you ask them like, oh yeah, you're not allowed to do this. But then when you ask them, when the Ajnabi says why, you're like, oh yeah, it's just how it is. No, there's a reason why. There's a reason why you're not meant to do that,
Yeah.
So I feel like there needs to be a lot of historical lessons on why things are where they are, why this is a command and things like that. So I feel like people are just looking at deen as a to-do list.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. But with regards to my next question, in your book, there's a lot of red flags that you outline. With regards to that, what makes you say that when there's a red flag, you're like, yeah, do not move forward, you're going to experience heartbreak?
I would say if you realize there's inconsistency in the person's character, right? Look, before you get married to anyone, you don't know them.
Yep.
This book just helps you get to know them better, helps you find out things about them better, but at the end of the reality is you don't know them. Okay. However, there are certain red flags that you can find out very early, or if the person reveals it to you, for example. Emotional, like very, very poor emotional regulation. Like if you see somebody has very bad in the anger management skills, for example, that is a crazy red flag. Like I think that's something
anger management.
Yeah, like I think if you see somebody, and I've seen some people see another person act harsh, and they think it's cute. I'm like, wow, are you okay?
That's not normal.
Like you just saw him punch a wall and you think it's cute. Like that's not cute. Like next thing he's gonna punch, well, it's not the wall. It's gonna be something else. And then the second thing I would say is if somebody's overly reliant on their parent. If somebody's overly reliant on their parent for decision making, for emotional understanding, or for any like life experience. When I say overly reliant, I'm talking about this person does not have a separate identity to their parents.
Oh, wow.
That's when I think you are in very much a dangerous territory, to be easily manipulated and to be easily be used, and for external people to come in and basically mess around with your marriage in any way, form or shape. And I think the third thing that I would say when it comes to red flags is somebody who has no care for the deen. Right? Somebody that lacks, it's not consistent with their salahs, but somebody who doesn't really care about Allah. Because if somebody does not center their lives around Allah, they won't center anything around yours as well.
Yep.
So I think I think deen is very, very important, especially their relationship with Allah. If you see somebody that is, for example, let's say you advise a friend and you ask and you tell that friend, hey, I don't think this is appropriate.
Yeah.
And they try to justify that thing. And you realize, okay, What are we doing here?
What we're doing, yeah.
What are we doing here? So using the religion as like, also the other forms that using religion as a battering ram, as a weapon. I think that's also very dangerous here.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Now that we've talked about like the steps you should take before marriage, let's now talk about the next phase, which is being in a marriage early or early marriage. So now that, like for example, someone's nikah is completed and it's done, in your experience, what do you think couples get wrong in the first year of their marriage?
Okay, I want to preface by saying that I am not a marriage counselor and I've only been married 1 year. So I'm a relationship coach. So I help people in their marriages and obviously to get married and stuff like that. But the thing that I've recognized very, very early on is that people don't set boundaries. And I think people don't also realize, I think the biggest mistake is that people think that somebody else's 20-year marriage and their 1 year marriage are going to be the same. You are learning about yourself, you are learning about someone else, and you are navigating a new part of your life. All these are challenges. And I always give that analogy of a newborn baby, right? Your relationship, your marriage is just like a newborn baby. It's going to need a lot of time. It's going to need a lot of attention. And it's going to need a lot of patience. And people go into it thinking that this is an adult, how could they not know? And that's the scary part of it. That they don't go into it thinking there's going to be a lot of problems and we're going to learn to navigate these problems. They almost feel like if there is problems, then there's something wrong within the marriage. But problems are part of life. You're always going to have an issue to deal with, right? And I also think that people don't create structure before they get married. So that when they do get married, they know how to very much manage expectation. And I think that's one of the biggest killers of anything, of any relationship, which is expectation. Because I know exactly what my wife wants from me, and my wife knows exactly what I want from her. And these things can develop during the marriage. So for example, if before I got married to her, I was like, I would like words of affirmation. But during the marriage, I realized I'm actually more receptive to active service. Then you can have a conversation with your partner and say, this is how I actually like to be loved, and it's how I like to be cared for. But when you don't create these conversations and you think getting married is the end of it. No, getting married is just the key.
It's the start.
It's just the start.
Yeah.
Like this is now a lifelong journey with this person where you're learning about them, but just as much as you're learning about them, wallahi, you are learning about yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like nobody, and I think this is the crevice of it. Nobody in your life will pay as much attention to you more than your spouse. Nobody. Like your siblings, you could just ignore them for days, right? You might leave a socks there, you might be annoying here, you might be irritable there, but they're not going to be paying attention to you as much as your spouse. Your spouse is almost like they've got like microscope glasses on you, and they see every one of your habits. And every one of your habits is like a mirror. You guys are affecting each other in so many ways.
True.
So I think people are not aware of how much work it takes to be married. And they just come in and they go, we're here now. You're like, yeah, you just came. Like you've just arrived. It's like, the way I see it is like arriving in the Premier League. Or just go to Man United or Man City signed you doesn't mean that you're immediately going to be
a success.
It's going to be a success.
Yeah,
now the hard work starts now.
It starts now, yeah.
Like
if anything is even harder.
And I'm always like, look, be merciful towards each other, but create structure.
Yeah.
Like I, for example, me and my missus, every single Sunday, we would sit with each other and we'd say to each other, okay, what 3 things did I do well this week? What 3 things would you like me to do next week? And what 3 things would you like me to improve on next week? And it just helped us, especially me, because I was like, oh, I realized, I'm quite lazy in this area of my life. So I would pay attention. And then I would know exactly what I did wrong and exactly what I did right. And exactly how I can be a support partner. And I would just do more of that. And so every week you kind of create, like you restart, you don't become monotonous, for example. So it's like creating a structure so that you know when date night is happening. You know when you guys are going to eat together. You know when you guys are gonna walk together. You know when you guys are gonna go to bed. You know when this is happening. You know when that is happening. But let's be very honest. Unless you manage time, time will run away. Unless you know what you're doing with your time, time will run away. That's the honest reality. People who are married are acting single. Like why are you with your friends 11 o'clock at night when you should be with your partner? But then again, your partner's not telling you this, and they're resenting you slowly because you're still behaving in the same ways as you were behaving when you were single.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't continue doing these things. Like have some structure in it. Yeah, something has to change.
Yeah, you're not single anymore. You talk about in your book the notion of respect and between both the husband and the wife as something that should be a daily habit. What do you think are small actions that that build the notion of respect and love between themselves, between the husband and wife?
I think each person has their form of respect or their form of loving. And I think you have to learn, like I can't tell you what respect is for me, right? But there's definitely ways that we can get rid of them, right?
Yeah.
For example, contempt, criticism, belittling, dismissing. Any of those negative behaviors will obviously erode respect. Or slight digs. I think all those behaviors will remove away the love that is supposed to be there. But also there are things that you can do, like always compliment your partner. I'm a big believer, I'm a big fan of words of affirmation. I'm a big believer of telling your partner that you love them. I'm a big believer of telling your partner that they are amazing. I'm a big believer of bigging up your partner, always supporting your partner, always being there emotionally in touch with your partner. I'm a very big believer also of asking questions, right? Constantly checking in, constantly reassuring, constantly making sure that you guys are on the same page, right? So I, for example, would always compliment each other, and would always celebrate each other. Like it doesn't matter what she did. Like if she made a meal for me, I'm gonna pretend like this is. I'm not even gonna pretend. I'm gonna say that this is meal is the best meal I've ever had. Right? If she's going out, I'm going to compliment whatever she's wearing. I'm going to compliment how she looks. I'm always going to make sure that she knows that she's beautiful. I'm always going to make sure that she knows I'm emotionally there, connect with her. Right? Always telling the person that you love them and that you care for them. Like it should be part of your daily language.
Yep.
Right? And another thing is also doing things with each other.
Yeah.
Like actually setting time aside to have quality time with each other. But not just Netflix and chill, but actually, for example, we enjoyed walks. Like we enjoyed going to new restaurants, we enjoyed doing things, we enjoyed going to places, going to events and stuff like that. So finding a medium ground, like some people they paint together. I know some people they play chess together. Some people they will do vintage shopping. Like they will find very weird items and they'll go hunt these items down, right? And so I think there are so many ways where you can increase love and respect, but you just have to, and also acknowledging the person.
Absolutely.
And appreciating the person. So I think there was a study done which was trying to see where the brain chemistry for guys that were phrases that had the same impact as I love you. And they found out that when their wife said, when the wife thanked them, that their brain had the same level of activity as when someone else said, I love you.
Wow. And
it was so crazy because then it was wait, does that mean that these men are being underappreciated? Does that mean that this relationship just went into a very monotonous sort of cycle where people were doing things and they weren't being noticed?
Yeah.
And they weren't being celebrated and stuff like that. So I think that's very, very important. I think you have to actively do these things. You can't just not do them. You can't. I think people think these are natural. No, these are skills. These are things that you have to actively go out your way to do. I would write letters, weekly letters. Here you go. So, but they have such impact. They have such impact that you can't legit measure how much happiness it brings to the other person.
Yep, yep, yep. Definitely, definitely. I was gonna say like many couples to some level, and I want to know your experience on this, based on the people that speak to you and your clients, that they lose their romance after the honeymoon phase, or even maybe the first year or something. How can they like continue that sort of love and affection long term?
Look, I have two thoughts when it comes to honeymoon, right? I would say I'm also in my honeymoon phase. I think there's two thoughts on this in the relationship world. There's one phase on it where some people say I've never actually lost my honeymoon phase, and there's another one where it says the relationship developed, right? Number one, that you should be doing the loving acts even if you're not in the mood, right? Number two, relationships go through periods of evolution. So they go through periods of like connection, which is what you would say the honeymoon phase. Then there's the conflict, where it's like the differences are really starting to become more aware, become more known. And then there is the rupture. So this is actually the stage where a lot of people end up divorcing. But after that is repair. A repair is when the couple become closer together. So anything in life goes through evolutions. They change. And that is the absolute reality. Iman does the same thing, right? Like you're never going to be on a high with your Iman where you're constantly just like, oh, I love Allah so much and everything's easy for me and Salah is easy for me, reading the Quran is easy for me. There's times where you have to drag yourself to Salah. There's times where you have to drag yourself to repentance. There's times where you have to drag yourself to the masjid, right? But there's times where your Iman is so high that you're doing extra things. You're doing extra sadaqah and whatever. That's exactly the same with love. But I think love is an action, right? Same with our ibadah. We understand that we have to do this action whether we feel it or not. Maghrib is gonna come, and whether we like it or not, we have to pray. So whether I'm tired or whether I'm in a mood, I still have to pray Maghrib. And I think that's the same way it is with love as well. That whether I'm tired or whether I'm not in the mood, I know that I have to be loving towards my partner. And there are certain actions that are of a loving form, and I have to perform them. And that is my honest belief, because I think love is a commitment to an action with mercy. And there is parts of understanding, there is parts of mercy, there is parts of compassion. And at times, just letting your partner know that I don't have capacity today is an action, right? So like, if maybe yesterday I was in a very bubbly mood and I was very happy and I was easygoing and I was very loving, but today I'm easily triggered. Letting my partner know that today, by the way, I'm overstimulated, I'm easily triggered. Could we do something different, or can you give me a bit of time? That is a loving action. But in terms of honeymoon phase, it will always come back. But the way to sustain it is to create actions that sustain it. If you think honeymoon phase is going to sustain itself by itself, it will never will.
It will never,
It will never will. However, if you're doing the things, and I've seen a lot of couples do this, they don't set time for intimacy, right? Intimacy becomes a thing where it was very important at the beginning of the relationship, to they're barely having any intimate moments, to then becoming the roommate. That's the reality. They go from being very kind to each other, being very merciful to each other, being very like flirting with each other, dating each other, even during the marriage, to them barely even noticing each other.
In the same house.
In the same house. And then obviously that honeymoon phase is now gone for them. So I think you decide whether your honeymoon phase is going to stay, and you decide whether your honeymoon phase is going to fade away. And I think you have to make a conscious choice. But I don't think people understand that that is up to them. And things will happen. Look, your wife might be pregnant at some point. And she might need a lot more support. And things might be a lot more difficult at that time, right? That doesn't take away the sweetness of each other's friendship and take away the sweetness of each other's companionship. But it doesn't mean that you have to become a different person.
Obviously.
It doesn't mean that you have to have more responsibility. It doesn't mean that you have to step up.
Sacrifice.
And there's going to be sacrifice. There's going to be moments like that, and it's going to be fine.
I agree. I absolutely agree with that. So now that we talked about when it comes to early marriage, I want to discuss with you on conflict and emotional safety.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, with regards to conflict, why is it that Muslim families,
Yeah.
or to some level you could say ethnic minorities,
Yeah.
love to avoid hard conversations, and their sort of way of responding to hard conversations is silence? And I want to ask you, like, why is that the case? And do you believe that we are in a trajectory as Muslims and ethnic minorities and our generation to change that? Such a loaded question, I'm sorry.
I think, first of all, we do what we see. And unfortunately, majority of our parents dealt with us in silence. Right? If your mom was angry with you, you get cussed out and then you should be silent.
So, yeah.
So it's like, or like, you know, where they do that thing where you're in the kitchen with them and they're chatting shit about you. They're So I think we picked up habits from our primary caretakers, right? And one of the habits is we picked up stonewalling and we picked up silent treatment. And we picked up avoiding having hard conversations. Because, let's be very honest, how many of us actually had a very sit down with our parents where they treat us as equals? No, it was almost like, I'm your parent.
Yeah.
I'm right.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Basically.
Go to your room.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? Go pick a weapon that can beat you up with.
Yeah.
So then when we get married, we repeat the exact same cycles that happened to us when we were childhood.
Yeah.
Right?
Because that's all we knew.
That's all we knew. So we just avoid conflict, right?
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if I avoid my mum for the day, she's still going about her life, right? She's still going about her life. She's probably going to go to work. She's probably going to talk to her friends. She's probably going to speak to my other siblings and stuff like that. But I know that I'm avoiding her. Because I know she's... Yeah, because I know
it's bugging you.
Yeah, because I know I'm avoiding her because she might have said something to me that really hurt me.
And it's bugging you out.
And it's bugging me. But I realize if I go to her and I bring my issue, I'm going to get shut down. I'm going to get told that's not that important. I'm going to get told, did you eat breakfast? Yeah, then shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Right? You've got a roof over your head. I'm your walid. Do you not know that Allah said that Jannah's under my feet? What are you talking about? Now, if you have that sort of upbringing where parents didn't really hear you out in the way that they should have, now you get married, you're going to take that exact same pattern of thinking, exact same action point, and you're going to bring it to your marriage.
Yeah.
Now, the way to break that is to essentially understand your conflict avoidant. And there are different types of conflicts, right? There's people who are conflict aggregators, which means that they legit run straight through the conflict. So they're like, they want to know what happened, they want to argue, they want to intensify the conflict.
Yeah, and not solve it.
Yeah, there's people who want to pretend that there's no conflict, even though there is.
Yeah.
And there's people who do things such as like fawning, which is like people pleasing. So they just let you have whatever you want. Just please, let's not argue. Just have whatever you want.
As a form of avoidance.
As a form of avoidance. And then there are obviously somebody who has a very healthy conflict habit, which is like they're able to have conflict with you. They're able to have a conversation with you where you and them can disagree, and there's not abandonment. And a lot of people, I think, the reason why we avoid conflict is because we are afraid of being abandoned, if we're very honest. Because every time that we may have an argument with our parent caregiver, I can't how dalai. Or you get like any caregiver, right? Well, these words, whilst they seem small to some Somali people, are very big.
Yeah.
Let's be very honest.
Yeah.
They're very huge in our psyche.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, being like, for example, like imagine you have a conflict with your parent caregiver and they compare you to another child and they say like, I wish I had given birth to him instead of you.
Yeah, or they would say, "Oh, look at your friend, and look where he is, and blah blah, and what about you?" and stuff like that. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Do you see?
Yeah,
so now, and in psychology, especially in racial culture, we understand that we are replaying our childhood.
Yeah.
With our romantic relationships, right? So, a part of when a conflict is being brought up shame is being immediately activated. Shame as a guy is being activated.
Yeah.
Our flight and fight responses are immediately being activated. Our attachment styles are immediately boom. Like if I'm avoidant, I'm out. If I'm anxious, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna try to people please or whatever. So there are ways that are sort of like our background created the sort of characteristics that we have. I've seen guys who disappear from their family. I've had people say to me, yeah, my husband, I have not seen him for 2 weeks. I don't know where he is. Some of them for 3 days, 4 days. I don't know where he is. He's not picking up his phone. He's not answering his calls. Every time me and him get to argument, he goes to his mum's house. And there are parents who kind of like enable these sort of behaviors or enable these sort of acts, or like ما يستيشنا أحس دي حاجة تانية وقلبة ضنتي and stuff like that. She shouts too much or she does too much stuff. So I think is changing, number one, by going to therapy. Number two, having some self-awareness. So like when these things do happen, be honest with yourself, right? Understand that you are avoiding. Name it, and then you can tame it.
Yeah.
So maybe going to therapy, do some self-awareness, and also actually actively address the issue.
Yeah, I would say like.
What do you think?
No, I think I agree with you. But also with regards to mental health, because all of these things that's happening, it affects an adult, and people, they get into doing crazy stuff as a form of coping mechanism. And I've seen, and I'm sure you've seen, stories of marriages where it's been a tragedy. And when you look at the nitty gritty of it, it's like, oh, that person has mental health problems. But then you're like, okay, if that person had problems, why wasn't that person addressed that they had problems? And us as ethnic minorities, we do that to shun it off, like, oh yeah, let's just get that person married.
Yeah. The solution to everything is
yeah, let's just get married.
Like they
anything. It could be mental health. It could be like something like.
He doesn't
pray. Salah. Yes.
But once he gets married, he'll start
praying salah. Yeah.
You're thinking, excuse me.
Yeah, like how do you expect that person to become better, like themselves? But then when they get married, suddenly they're just going to wake up and be like, yeah, I'm going to start praying now. I'm going to start going to the mosque now.
You know what is it? I think with a lot of Somalis, I think with them, in their mind, they think the extra responsibility will wake the person up.
Okay.
When now that he's at home, he doesn't have any responsibility, therefore he becomes lazy.
Yeah.
However, when he gets married and he has more responsibility, then he won't become lazy. And I think this is both for guys and girls as well. They're like, oh, she's not cooking now, or she's not doing much now. But when she gets married, she's going to be a mother, and then she's going to wasoka. So like her laziness is going to somehow disappear from her.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And also, let's be very honest. There is a huge Arab culture. There is a huge hush-hush culture. And whenever a child, and as Somalis, we don't really believe in mental health. Like when I say us Somalis, I'm not talking about our generation. I think the older generation, didn't have the knowledge to believe in it, and then that's the part that we're not understanding, that we're not being honest about. They didn't have the part and the time to understand it. They came to a country fleeing from their own, and they were just looking for physiological needs. Like, what does this child need to survive today? He needs food, he needs shelter, and he just needs to be away from danger, right?
Yeah.
However, things like ADHD, things like autism, things like hyperactive, they don't know nothing about that, right? So they're seeing a child and they're going to call him qalqali. And they're going to say, hey, come Somali skatur, whatever, right? But whilst that child needs an extra support, that child needs an extra form of hands, and an extra care. Instead of investigating that and saying, you know what, how can we seek help? That mother doesn't even understand that her son needs help or that father needs help. And even if they do understand that there's something wrong with him, because you're gonna tarnish the name, people are gonna talk about us and stuff like that. And Somalis, Allah ni ki ma'arakte ha u hanusaday. Wa ki wa Allah.
Yeah.
The language that we use to describe people who have mental health illnesses is almost disgusting.
Yeah.
And we don't have mercy for them, let's be very honest. And I think we don't have community as we did. So he's immediately be shunned out.
Yeah.
Immediately. Like, as soon as you're named as a kid who has ADHD, as soon as you're named as a kid who's got autism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if anyone is interested in you, hello,
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk to you about that actually. That's a very good point because I feel like the generation of the ones below us, the Gen Zs, I think you're Gen Z, Hota, are you?
I think I'm Gen Z, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, man, I forgot.
Yeah, I'm millennial.
I was going to say, I'll put you in my phase, yeah. No, sorry. The Gen Zs are now like, they're all coming up with saying like, I'm ADHD or, no,
Identifying.
because of this reason, I'm this. And I've seen that there's a lot of openness to that. But with regards to like autism and people who are like neurodivergent or something like that, I feel like it's been an increase now with the Gen Zs and some of the millennials, and and within our community, you know, there's. I used to think that it was to do with vitamin D or something like that, but then I was told that that's not scientifically correct. But there has to be something that's going on where there's a mad increase of children with autism in the Somali community.
I'm not really privy to that.
Yeah, sorry, I know I'm asking like a question. I went on off tangent.
No, but I'm not really privy to understand like the mental health field in that regards. However, I would say I don't think these things are brand new. I think these symptoms were always there. Is that we're just naming them.
Okay.
It's just that people are coming out and saying, I've got this.
I'm this and that.
Instead of people who are hiding it. Like people who had ADHD are now able to identify their behaviors in these symptoms and be able to say, oh my Lord, I feel seen because I do all these things. You look at characteristics or you do a test and you realize, oh my Lord, like the reason why I couldn't concentrate in this format. Or there was nothing wrong with me per se, or you know, I was. It's like, is that my brain doesn't work in the same capacity it would work for other people.
Yeah.
So you can easily understand then how to create things. Dyslexia, for example, right?
Yeah.
We understand dyslexia affects your reading and your math. Okay. And now a child who has dyslexia goes to school, doesn't get the grades that they need to get in order to pass to a next level. Their parents get called in for school, their parents receives a report and cusses that child out. Tells that child that you're stupid and you're an idiot and that you can't amount to anything. But if that parent knew very well that this child has dyslexia, they would understand that, hey, my child's brain doesn't think and operate in the same way. And therefore they need this type of support, right? But we don't have that.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening, especially with Gen Z, is that they themselves are actually going to the doctors.
Yeah.
They themselves are actually admitting themselves to the doctor, to professional spaces, and checking themselves and saying, okay, I struggle with this. Could it be possibly because of X? Then going to find out and then realizing, oh my Lord, it is happening. Like I know so many people who went to go check themselves for ADHD. And there are people who are high performing people who still have ADHD. Because another thing that people think is that, you know, if you have a mental health symptom or a thing, then you can't be high performing. But you can be high performing and still struggling. You can, and another thing is chronic fatigue as well. It's something that people don't talk about. Depression is another thing that a lot of Somali people don't talk about. Another thing is addictions is another thing that a lot of Somalis don't talk about, especially addiction to certain type of content, addiction to certain type of bilwed is another thing that we don't talk about. And also, we don't ever address like this overall this culture of like insults in families, this culture of like just bringing somebody down. And then if you don't relate to the insult or you can't take it, you get called soft. You're softy. I can right? Like we're built on a culture of silence, built on a culture of, and look, before somebody comes at me and says to me, oh, do I have, you're just cussing out the Somali. I'm just highlighting the negative parts. I'm not saying there's no positives. I'm highlighting the negative parts. There's so many positives within the culture when it comes to marriage, when it comes to community, stuff like that. We're just highlighting the parts that don't help us and that we don't need.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So going back to about your book, can I ask you a question? For those of you who haven't got it, please get the copy, so you'll have a better understanding of this interview.
You know, like, it's a thick ass book.
Yeah,
There's no way
yeah,
you can go through it.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. How do you think couples are able to protect each other's emotional safety, especially when they come from, like, you know, cultures where emotional sort of safety or emotional intelligence or awareness aren't really being seen growing up?
I think you have to first of all learn emotional regulation, and then you have to learn how to be able to name the sort of emotion you're going through, and be able to process those emotions. And then I think emotional intelligence is also the understanding of different things, such as like empathy, such as like what's it called, compassion, sympathy, understanding also the frequency of those emotions and how to handle those emotions. And I think, and also vulnerability. I think you can't say you're an emotionally intelligent person without having some form of vulnerability. And understanding how vulnerability works, who to be vulnerable, when not to be vulnerable. And I think emotional intelligence, I would say, is knowing what emotions are in play and how they are affecting your character, and also understanding that that emotion doesn't have to be like something could happen to you and you don't get to control that thing that's happening.
Yep.
Your reaction though is something that you do get to control. And I think that's the part that people are not understanding. Oh, you know, I said something mean to you because I was angry. Yeah, that's not a reason.
That's true.
That's not a reason for you to verbally abuse me. You know what I'm saying? I was very frustrated, so I slapped you. Oh, what the hell? Oh, I was very frustrated with you, so I ignored you.
That's crazy.
And you're like, wait, what? So anytime you get angry at me, you're either gonna physically abuse me or psychologically abuse me. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
So I think you have to. I think therapy should be a thing now, on a genuine level. Let's be very honest. We didn't really grow up expressing our emotions.
Yep.
That's another thing that we need to do as well. We didn't really grow up understanding our emotions. Like, we might go through something, but we didn't know what it was, right? Like anxiety, for example. A lot of us were experiencing anxiety, not knowing that it was actually anxiety. A lot of us were going through moments of like complete despair, not understanding that that was depression, right? And I think silence is celebrated for some reason in our community. Like, everything has to be, oh yeah, shh, off his head. You're like, whoa, like, subhanAllah, like, what can I do? But I think, A, we start need to create awareness in our community. And B, not only awareness, but like education in our community. So a lot of people need to start doing workshops. A lot of people need to start having these conversations and actually giving them practical steps to how to regulate themselves, how to understand themselves, how to create boundaries with other people, and how to navigate their emotions as well and process them.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So now we're going to move into money and responsibility. Of course, finances are a massive stress on many people and many couples. Why do you think money is one of the most issues that couples fight amongst each other on?
Money is so important. Like, we're not, like, you can never deny that. Money is emotional. Money is psychological. Money is safety. Money is everything. Money is also power, right? And I think we understand that as a Muslim husband, that you are a provider. Like, Allah made you a qawwam, a protector, provider, maintainer, right? And so, to some guys, they struggle with that. And we all do. Like, when that bills come in, bro, it's a struggle. When that rent is due, bro, it's a struggle. So I think creating a safe space to talk about money, I think is necessary. Creating a clear understanding of how money affects couples and relationships. And I think also budgeting and planning are very, very important. And then there is financial abuse. There is where one party doesn't know how much money is coming into the family whatsoever. There is one party where the thing that they should have been paid for, they're not getting. They have, but they're not receiving. And there is one version where the person is working, is providing for their family, is giving money to the family, and not knowing where the money goes. And it's like, wait, like, I'm paying rent. Like, there are, for example, people who manage everything themselves, for example, who are paying for the bills themselves, who are paying for the household themselves, who are buying things themselves. And there are people who send to their partner. And you're thinking, I've sent money, but, you know, I don't know where the money's gone because, you know, we went shopping and you're asking for more and whatever. And yeah, it is financial abuse that happens on both sides, but mainly on the side of the woman, where she is financially abused much more. And I think also there has to be a greater space to help people understand what their rights are, but to help people also understand how to navigate that as well, and how to talk about money and debt without feeling like you're attacking the other person.
Yep. No, totally. So in your opinion, should couples combine finances, or should they keep their finances separate?
I think transparency is always great, but it's up to the couple. In my opinion, it's up to the couple.
Interesting.
I think I think you should have 3 accounts. I think you should have an account for yourself. Your wife should have her own account, and you should have a joint account. So a joint account where you both put money in, if that's what. And look, I'm not a financial advisor, okay? So I would be very much careful in saying this, right? It just makes it easier for some people to know, okay, we have a joint account. And in that account, money goes in there, and then we spend from that pot. But a lot of people say that's not how I do things. And another contention thing is, should your partner know how much money you make? My opinion is, your partner should know how much money you make. Some people say no. I like my privacy. As long as I'm paying for the things that I need to be paying, they don't know how much they don't need to know how much I'm earning. You know what I'm saying? I think your partner should know. But that's my opinion.
No, that's valid. Now that we're going to move on to faith, love, and intention. Many young people, they fall into haram whilst they're searching for their spouse. What advice would you give to those young people?
I mean, even in the people that are searching for haram, they're searching for connection.
True.
And that's the part that people don't understand. I think that everyone is still searching for connection, but the connection that they're searching for gets them tainted, right? Because there's always going to be 3 parties. You and the partner, and you either choose Allah or you choose Shaitan. That's your choice. And so I always advise and tell people, if you're not married, please be very professional. Please have boundaries. Have good and clear boundaries. If we're talking, why are we talking? Like, what's the reason for us having this conversation?
What's the intention,
What's the intention? Set a schedule. If, for example, I were to meet a girl today, right? I would set an intention of how long it would take us to talk, of where we're talking, of where our parents are involved, right? I think your parents should be involved from the get-go. I know that's very contentious for some people, but that's what Islam says, and I think you should just follow it the way it is, because it's there for you to protect you, right? I think your parents should be involved. I think you should be very intentional. I think you should be very careful of not giving away too much of your time, but also not giving away too much of your love and your care. I think people make believe relationship. That's my honest opinion, right? and that leads to heartbreak and disappointment. I think if you're very professional, if you're very aware of yourself, if you're very aware that you're catching feelings and you actually stop yourself, especially getting ahead of yourself as well, because that's what I used to do. I'll be very honest. I would meet somebody, boom, la la la. In my mind, we are already done for, we are already married, and then they don't follow the script. Now I'm pissed. Okay, so I think coming in, being very intentional, being very clear, having some clarity, and saying, look, I'm only here for marriage. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know you with the frameworks of Islam, and I want to get to know you in a halal way, and I want to find out things about you, such as this, and that, such as using the book basically, which is asking the essential questions to know whether this is a person you'll be aligned with, right? Whether you can get into a situation where you can start that compatibility journey, right? So I think that's very, very, very important, and I think boundaries is the thing that creates that. Like, like if, for example, if somebody were, let's say your boundary is like, we don't talk after 10 o'clock. We don't talk after 10 o'clock. If they call you after 10 o'clock, sorry, we had an agreement that we don't talk after 10 o'clock. Or you're not picking up, I'm not picking up that phone. And the next morning, you'll be like, hey, sorry, I was sleeping. Also, I prefer not to talk after 10 o'clock. Okay, when you're meeting them, I prefer to meet you with a third person, either my brother or your dad or someone else. Never be alone. I was never alone with my wife until we got married. At all. Like, me and her never went anywhere together. There was always a third party there. There was always either her parents there, or my parents there, or our siblings there, or it was inside her house, or it was inside my house. And I think that's what made it so easy. And that's what protects the barakah within your relationship. Yeah. And I think you have to understand that is very, very, very important. It also speeds up the process. Because technically you don't want to have third party every day. So you're like, you know what, let's just get over and done with. Let's just get married. But also, like, setting a schedule. Like, I knew that my communication style was either on the phone or in person. So, and then I knew what I wanted to find out at this time, at that time, at that time. So I'll tell them, hey, look, like, this is the way I do things. I'm trying to get to know you, but I have questions I want to ask you to see if we're compatible, see if we're aligned. Yeah, sure, let's do it. But if the person said to me, you know what, I don't want to do this, take care of yourself. I'm so sorry. Like you have to have the boundary to understand that you need to walk away when you need to actually walk away. If somebody's not respecting you, if somebody maybe is not asking for your father's number, or somebody's not like giving you their dad's number, you need to be able to walk away. You need to be able to say, you know what, ma salama.
No, that's very important. So now I want to talk about like your takeaways and what your view on this is. So like, what advice, if you were to give Muslims one advice, what's going on?
I just have a muscle cramp.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought you'd give me a signal here.
No.
Okay. Well, so so if you were to give Muslims only one piece of advice about love and marriage, what would it be?
That love is an action, and that involve Allah from every step. And yeah, I think love is an action and involve Allah in every step. And the reason why I say those two advice is because to some people love is a feeling and to some people love is a thought. For me, love is a commitment to an action. That I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. And that there's certain responsibilities that you have. And then also I always say involve Allah is because there's going to be times in your life where you really need Allah's guidance. You always need Allah's guidance. You should never, there's even the ayah that says, oh Allah, don't even leave me to a second to myself, right? And I think understanding that you're doing this for the sake of Allah means that you're involving Allah in every decision. It means that you're asking yourself, oh Allah, is the way that I'm treating them appropriate? And how would Allah love them? And how would Allah want me to love them? So if every time you check your intention and you check your action against that, you realize, maybe silent treatment is not the way that Allah would want me to love them.
Yeah.
And so always involve Allah. And also, like, when I say always involve Allah, it's always like have a great understanding of your deen. Especially when it comes to marriage. Like, have knowledge so that you don't get manipulated. So you don't get, because manipulation can come from anywhere. It can come from friends, it can come from family, it can come from your partner, it can come from a society where society is telling you, oh, you don't need to do this for your husband, or you don't need to do that for your wife. Well, this is 2025, why are you providing for her? you realize in Islam it doesn't matter. Times can change, but Islam doesn't change.
That's true. That's true. If you see like a Muslim couple, or like if there's a Muslim couple that's struggling at this present moment, what very first step they should take?
It depends on the struggle, but I always say seek help. Seek help through a counselor, seek help through a relationship coach, seek help through a therapist, and also like understand that you're struggling. I think people think that you can't seek help, and that if you're seeking help, then that means you're not in control of your shit. No, we are creating a community, right? We are, like Allah says, like created resources for you to use. So tie your camel. So if you understand that, that you need to go an extra mile, you need extra support, go ahead and use it. There's so much marriage counselors, especially Muslim marriage counselors that are available nowadays. So many Muslim therapists are available nowadays, and coaches are available nowadays. So use that resource, use that time. Also, go seek knowledge. I always think, like, relationships are a skill. Being married to somebody and being a loving human being is a skill. It is not something that, some people were taught from a very young age how to behave. They had very healthy parents who modeled very healthy love in front of them. Some of us didn't. So it doesn't mean that you're not able to then make a healthy relationship. It just means you have to seek the knowledge. Like, there's so many courses, there's so many lectures that you can go to that teaches you how to become closer to your spouse. That teaches you how to create boundaries with your spouse. That teaches you how to create boundaries with yourself. That teaches you how to regulate yourself. That gives you the language. For example, the I statement. Like, when I'm speaking to my wife, let's say I'm very annoyed, I won't say to her, like, you did this. I'll tell her how I feel. I'm like, I feel very annoyed at this situation when this happened. Now, I'm not attacking her. I'm inviting her for a conversation. I'm inviting her to understand. I also learned very early on that problems are part of life, but you're not trying to belittle them. You're not trying to damage them. You're not trying to win them. It's you and them against the problem. And you very much understand that is the way to then deal with conflict and deal with issues. However, some people, they're like, I need to win this argument. I need to show them that I'm the Rajal, I'm the man, and therefore I'm not going to do this. But you also learn that sometimes, for example, one thing that I learned very early on is a woman's hormone cycle. So you learn, okay, we are not the same, for example, right? So she might, a day before her period comes, she's more emotional. And you might be thinking that you're at fault for it, but you're actually not at fault for it. And then you realize, okay, so maybe now that she is in this state, let me help her with this. Let me help her with that. And then you think about pregnancy. You learn that a woman's pregnancy and the type of pregnancy she has and how healthy the baby is actually tied to your health as a man. So the sperm quality and her pregnancy is tied to you. So a year before or 9 months before, whatever before you even try to conceive a baby, that you put yourself in the best health and the best, and your stress even affects that. So you learn so many different things that you would never have known, and the information is out there. Like, there's so much books that talk about communication. There's so much books that talk about conflict resolution. There's so much lectures and everything that goes into it. Go and read. Go and do your research. Go and go to a retreat. Like, do things to help you build a healthy marriage. Because I feel like people think that healthy marriages are just things you find. No, they're things that you make and build.
Perfect. So this question is, why did you decide to write this book and call it Can I Ask You a Question?
Okay, I think the title was easier because I called it Can I Ask You a Question because I keep saying that to people. You would have noticed, can I ask you a question, can I ask you a question, can I ask you a question? Especially to our missus, oh my lord, every 2 seconds I was like, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? So when it came to time to like write the title, I was like, what should I call it? And she was like, can I ask you a question? you're always asking for a question. And then the first one, which is why do I write? I think Toni Morrison says that if there was a book that you wanted to read and it doesn't exist, you write it. I feel like when I was ready to get married, or when I was preparing myself to get married, I was doing a lot of research, right? And I was trying to find material that would help me navigate the talking stage. And I couldn't find material. I couldn't find any books or anything that would really help me engage and realize, okay, who is it that I want to marry? And who am I in relation to that person? And when I couldn't find it, I was like, okay, I am a Muslim, which means I don't want to fall into a haram relationship. I also don't want to get married to somebody who I don't know a lot of.
Yeah.
And also, what is marriage? Like from a both Islamic perspective and both a psychological perspective. And institution as well. Because the idea of marriage or the institution of marriage has existed for millennia. It's probably one of the first ideas that ever existed. Like Hawa alayhi salam and Adam alayhi salam, when they got married, it was the first marriage that ever existed, right? And so it's been some of the things that have been prescribed to every prophet. It's been something that has been done by kings and queens and every form of society, right? So you think, okay, so there must be material. And there is so much material.
Yeah.
And then you learn about the facts. Then you learn about the stats. You learn about what are the causes of divorce. And you learn about what are the things that successful couples have. And you just fall into this like deep, dark hole. But then there's not much for Muslims.
Yeah.
And there's not much covering the talking stage, right? There's much covering like what happens after. So during the marriage or during the relationship. But not deciding who to marry, who to not marry, right? And so that's when I started doing my research. Alhamdulillah, I was privy enough to be in a space where marriage counsellors were giving counselling to people, and I was there taking minutes, I was there taking notes, and I was helping my mentors. And so I would see, and I'll be like, wow, like these couples came, and 5 of them have the same issue. And then you start taking notes, and you start seeing a pattern. Oh, their physical intimacy is like an issue. Okay, money is an issue. Okay, parental interference is an issue. Okay, communication is an issue. For example, imbalance in work is an issue. You start to think, okay, so then these are problems that you could possibly prevent, right? So I work with more preventative measures of a divorce, right? So you start thinking, okay, I want to get married. Then you start designing questions, and you meet people. And me, I love divorcees. Honestly, they were one of the best people to interview. You interview them, they sing, da-da-da-da-da. And you're like, okay, so what happened then? What happened this? And then you ask them questions. And you say, hey, look, if you could go back, or somebody who is just about to get married, you give them one question, or a few questions, what would it be? And so they tell you, this happened to me. This is the question I would ask. This is what I would look for. This is what I would investigate. And then so you start writing these questions down. And as you talk to people as well, and as you get to know people, you start to realize there's so much holes in your getting to know them. We're like, wait, so you want to move out of the country? Yeah, I want to move out of the country. But I don't, okay, now you have to ask them, where do you want to live? Okay, so you want to work during the marriage? Yeah. You want to work also when you're pregnant? Yeah. You want to work after you're pregnant? Yeah. You ask about the relationship dynamics. Okay. You, want to do this. Oh, you have to take care of an elderly parent. Okay, now you ask these questions. Right? So as I was getting to know people and as I was designing these questions, I was realizing I was actually making the process of getting married so much easier for myself. I was making the process of making that decision so much easier for myself because I had evidence as to why I stopped talking to somebody. And I had evidence as to why I should continue talking to somebody. And the talking stage will last so quickly. And so after I got married, I was like, whoa, it actually worked. Like, it actually made the process so much easy. And when people ask me, how many questions did you ask about? I'm like, oh, I asked like almost 200 questions, like 150 plus. Like, whoa, that's so much. And I'm like, I promise you, I was like, actually, in my mind, I actually asked her way more than that. But do you know what was happened? Is that I enjoyed the process and she enjoyed the process. And it was like we were really getting to know each other. And we were really finding out things about each other. And like, without asking real questions, you are not getting to know nothing. You are not getting to know nothing.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason why I wrote the book. And I realized it's unfair for me to have a resource that other Muslims also shouldn't have as well.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to keep it to myself. I'm going to do more research on it. I'm going to write on it, and I'm going to, inshallah, see how it helps. And now people are getting married with it. And I was like, subhanAllah.
MashaAllah.
You're going to a wedding next week.
Oh, MashaAllah. That's amazing. It's a valuable resource and it's needed in not just the Somali community, but Muslims in general. My final question to you now is, if someone read your book from cover to cover, what transformational aspect of their lives do you hope that they walk away with?
I think they have a deeper understanding of what marriage could be for them. They would have a deeper understanding of themselves. Because like some of these questions are questions that would, that people don't even ask themselves. For example, like here in finance and money. What is your philosophy on saving and spending money? Not a lot of people are asking themselves these type of questions. So the way I say to you for people to use the book, right, is answer all the questions yourself. And you start to discover things about yourself. You're like, wait, I don't even know how to ask this question. For example, one of the questions is, what is your main source of happiness, and do you expect that of me? Another way is, how do you like to receive love, and what can I do to show you that I love you? So these questions at first are designed for you to get to know yourself, and then designed for you to get to know other people. But you can't get to know other people without knowing yourself first, and you can't get to know other people without knowing what you're looking for. So you build an avatar of who you want to marry through the questions. Right. And through actually asking yourself these questions. And then you find people who align with the way you answered it. And that's the best way. And I think that's the best transformation you can have.
Lovely.
Lovely.
Abdul Wahab, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Had a lovely discussion, and I hope you guys had a lovely discussion as well. If you haven't got Abdul Wahab's book, it's on Amazon as well. Right? Stand store as well.
And pop-ups.
And pop-ups too. So. Yeah.
I will actually be having a pop-up on the 8th of October at Culture House.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's amazing. 8th of October?
8th of October.
Okay. Inshallah, hope to see you guys there.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.